So this is how I knew something was going on way bigger than what it was that was actually happening in front of my face. And this had played a bigger part that had to do with money more than anything. Also, I already knew, had insight about witchcraft, but of course, always when it came to spirituality and all that other stuff, especially when it came to me, my family always had like, you ain't got no business doing that. But however, if everybody else was talking about it, it was okay, it was cool, right? However, I had already knew at some point that anything that I was talking to these people, they knew it was factual. So whenever I presented factual evidence or truth about the situation, you crazy, it wasn't that I was crazy. You mean, you hateful, you don't love us, you don't care about family. Anytime that I spoke truth, and then it'll get to a point when I was speaking too much truth and they friends or people that they wanted to keep in their life or keep around them, they would make it their business. Oh, don't listen to her. She ain't talking about nothing. She crazy. That was their, leeway to a lot of things. Now, how I end up putting in the involvement of a lot of people, the military, the VA and everything. So I pay attention to everybody's face, body language. It doesn't really matter, okay? Down to the fact of, let's speak of, I'm gonna use her middle name because a lot of people don't really pay attention, but Lynn, right? With her, this is how I understood, like, she wasn't no real friend due to the simple fact that it's like, I can bring you around my kids, my husband, and everything else, right? It came to a point around the time that my son passed away, she was talking to this one guy, a Jamaican dude or whatever. He made it clear, like, every time she was telling me about him, I was like, well, clearly this man is letting you know he's not really into you, but shit, he gonna deal with you if you gonna open up your house and open up your legs to him, and he ain't gotta really do anything for it. It makes complete sense. But I remember I was like, well, when can I meet him? Oh, no, it's nothing serious, so it ain't no need to meet him. And then it was like, well, Rita Beta, all the dudes always wanted you. This is how I already knew, like, she had jealousy. She always had been saying that shit since we were, like, in high school. But I didn't really pay it no mind because it was, like, intellectually, I knew I could talk to her, like, have intellectual conversations and stuff like that. But then it was just, like, after, she went to college and, got into a sorority. Because it was some stuff that we discussed in high school that we were supposed to do together. But unfortunately, I ended up having my first child versus going ahead and being able to have that full college experience. I had to, fall back to enjoy, community college, which, in the midst of it, any and everybody that ever knew me, they knew how, like, crappy my so-called egg donor was, when it came to me, right? People heard her talk crazy, reckless, text messages, anything like that. And they always seemed that it was always had to be accused about some man. I'm just like, that was just miserable. So it's just like, it used to get to points where I wouldn't date and all this other stuff. Needless to say, back to how, I knew, like, she wasn't my friend, but it was just like, I knew something was bigger than this whole situation. This is how I know it was all about money. I just did not have a clue about how much money, because I got a feeling that it gotta be a bang a lot of money for this much people, and how big this group of people are looking to come so hard towards me. When I say hard, harder than you can even think of, okay? So the ex-husband, which I was like, is this dude, like a cousin or something like that? Like, it was weird because it was like, damn, well, the egg donor, your daddy is locked up in prison. And it was like, for him to be in prison for just stealing and pimping, he been in prison for way too long for it to just be for stealing and pimping. But as I was putting the pieces together and just how he would, like, literally talk to me like, if you supposed to be my grandfather and you talking to me like this, oh, bitch, this, like, bro, you ain't no grandfather. So that had let me know, like, he was in them streets. And it let me know that this situation way heavier. Mind you, the brother, Craig Taylor, which he was supposed to took on the Chapman name, but I knew Chapman wasn't her name, but it was her maiden name, because the grandma didn't, she didn't want to tell the story about why she made her sister's father take on that last name. But I was like, well, maybe they was because they were married. But however, it was like, at that point I already knew, like, oh, you the bottom beat. So it was like I had a clear understanding, like when it came to, the ring and how they run it and stuff like that. And then it was like, when I finally got to speak to him, he was like, yeah, she was my bottom beat. She was my best beat. Anytime I had to move things on the street, grandma was the go-to. You need a body moved around or set up, she was the go-to. However, when it came to my egg donor, I was like, yo, Shorty moved like that. I remember her moving like that, especially during the 90s. Shorty started to move real heavy about that. Then it started to, when she figured out that she could do something versus having to do with that, which is, it paid a lot much more than just trafficking like the drugs and kids and stuff like, and flipping the soldiers and all this other stuff. I knew it was way bigger. And then when I noticed, when it came to so-called grandma, I noticed that every husband she had, just mystically, if she felt that they treated her so bad, especially during her times when she was on drugs, they always, every single last one of these people she married, they always went missing. Outside of Robert. He ended up marrying like some white woman or something like that. So once I figured out, it was like, God dang, every time this person died, it was always a lawsuit about, getting mistreated in the hospital, and then how they passed away, the mistreatment, the delay. Now, in that state, they, in Oklahoma, they do tend to not really care about, if you black or Hispanic over there in Oklahoma, they tend to not really care about you, okay? They don't care if you're alive, you're dead, whatever, but they will, if they can get money off of you, because states still receive certain amount of money off of you, they can do that. Also, the biggest clue of it was like, I noticed that the great grandma, she was Indian. Ain't no missing it. It was Indian, and I want to say she was Hispanic with a bit of black, okay? But it was like the black, how her grandma looked. She looked like either she could have been from like Panama, Belize, or something like that, but it was like she had African blood, but her hair texture let me know like she wasn't just from Texas. It gave me more like Central American, but the exotic look where you can tell like she was a slave, but she was like of the diaspora. Because when you looked at my great grandma and you looked at the picture of her father, you could see Native American features, which was very strong. But when you go to these other places, it was either like you had strong Native American or African features, and hers showed more of the Native American. But also, when my grandma back in the day, she had like waist length, curly, wavy hair, like, real pretty Spanish type hair. And I was like, oh, okay. At that point, I was like, we not all from here, but it's like I couldn't put my finger on it. So it's like, we got Puerto Ricans, we got white family members, we got the African family members, we got the Native American family members. So it was like, I knew, it was a mixture for us. So it was like, at that point, I already knew, like, okay, culture and all that other stuff is different. However, it was a particular family member. They did not always stay. But my great grandma and her sister, Aunt May, and her, they used to talk here and there. But when they would talk, it'll be like low key, and it'll be like on some business type stuff. Now, Aunt May, if I ain't had to think of it anyway, I want to say low key, shorty was about business. Anytime you seen her, it was about business. If you want to talk about money, she ain't trying to hear nothing. Of course, she'll help her sister here and there, but it was like, shit, if it ain't about business, helping money, motivating or something like that, you would never see her around, right? So her kids wasn't really as phased as the rest of the kids, because she kept them away from all the craziness, because, all that incest and all the kids want to touch on the other kids type shit. But most of the ones that stayed in Lawton, they was all in the life of crime, bodies, gangs, offing people, robbing people, you know what I'm saying, insurance fraud, tax fraud, any way they could get the money. But the Indian ones, they didn't really have to worry about that, because most of them, were able to live off the reservation and get their Native American ties. So, they wouldn't really come around. But then when they did come around, they, of course, the massage parlors. So if you know about massage parlors, you get the gist of what I'm saying. So, that street life, I was well equipped, well versed, and understood it from the T, okay? So what sparked my interest was when I started asking questions like, why you asking questions? No, we don't need to do that. But I'm like, shit, I'm ready to go back to school. Well, why you got to worry about school? You need to worry about your kids. I am worried about my kids because I'm trying to set my kids up for a future to have a better life, so they don't feel like they got to grow up and feel like they got to provide me a life. No, my job is to make sure that I set up wealth and generational wealth for my kids right now versus trying to wait 20, 30, 40 years. And when y'all get grown, y'all going to take care of me. No, it's not none of that shit. I'll make sure that when it's time for it, and if they want to still live their life, shit, I got enough money that if they do want me to be in their home, hey, I can have me a mother suite, and I ain't got to be up in their home, bothering them, but they need me for the grandkids. I'm right there. You know what I'm saying? Or if it's probable, I'll be able to afford me to be able to go into a good nursing home where I know I will get quality care, and my kids will have access to be able to make sure, hey, this is where I want, like, they will know all of that stuff. But I noticed with them, they always was talking about, yeah, you can get this insurance money. But when it came to me, there was no insurance policies on my mom's oldest sister, my egg donors, sister's kids. But it was every time that I had a kid, her mama and her were always opening up policies on every kid that I had, including me. So I knew it was something way bigger. So anybody that I would like encounter or meet, I felt it was like kind of weird, but I couldn't really understand it because, like I said, as a neurodivergent, we're not dumb, we're not stupid. It just takes us a moment to process, what's going on, what's happening. And for me, I just want to make sure, like, sometimes it gets super delayed because I just want to make sure it's factual. It's not that I have to be right. I just want to make sure that it's factual, that how I'm seeing it is how that's what it is. And a lot of people like, you need to let it go. No, I'm not letting shit go until I can make sure that I'm pinpointing and that I'm right about what it is that I'm doing, because I don't want to, mess something up. And as a neurodivergent, a lot of people misconstrue thinking that, oh, they want to be, Miss Know-It-All or Mr. Know-It-All, or they got to be right. No, we just want to make sure that what we're being presented is factual. And 10 times out of 10, once we know what it is, we move on from it. We're not fit to cry about it. But for other people, they take it on as, oh, you being hateful, you being vindictive, because we're not talking about it, and they want us to keep going on about it. And I'm like, I'm not the type of person to keep trying to have conflict and going back and forth with you, because I understand that with myself, if I feel like I'm not expressing myself appropriately, or I'm not articulating what I need to say to you so we don't have any conflict, so we can have a clear understanding, I tend to just step away from the situation and I just leave it alone. They would take it as I was being hateful, or I was looking for a way to do something. Like, no, right is right, wrong is wrong. So if I had to correct them or let them know where they went wrong or where they was messing up at or something like that, and I go do my research and go, background check and make sure that what I'm saying is what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to do nothing, vindictive or hateful. I ain't ever been a person to do that. But they would take it as I was being vindictive, hateful, or I didn't want nobody to have nothing, or I wanted to be better than other people. But then it's like, but why are you taking out life insurance policies on me and my kids? Something's not right. So they will always come to me. Mind you, I was the person that always, I was a single parent. Basically, even when I was married to these people, I was a single parent taking care of 7 kids. Oh, I need money. Here go my aunt. You have a master's in nursing. Oh, I need about $1,000 to buy Christmas gifts. Well, apparently you don't need to be out here shopping if you need this kind of money. Give her the money, or every time they borrow money, they didn't never want to give it back. And this is not like no $50, $100, $500. This is like thousands of dollars. I had 7 children. I got to take care of these kids. I'm going to need my money back. They didn't ever want to give it back. We family, they would try to manipulate the situation. Now, mind you, before I had a clear understanding, my middle boy is about to be 12. So it took about that time ago when his accident happened is when I was able to put the words to what has actually happened. So narcissistic abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. Of course, I'm going to do my appropriate due diligence to research it, to understand it. And it's like, oh, shoot, I was going through a lot of that. And when I actually got decent, like, psychologists, and they listening to it, not the ones that was just trying to put on to me what they felt I needed to do, the ones that actually wanted to hear what was going on, they was like, that's abuse. That's, and they were the ones pointing out to me. And I was like, oh, okay, I said I wasn't 1,000% sure, but with you confirming that's just what it is, then from there I was able to understand, like, oh, okay, so this is what people is gonna do. I took my time, understand human anatomy and physiology, understand psychology, because I was like, that's what the most thing that they really could do, because they knew at some point she's gonna read into this, at some point she's gonna look into it. Now, mind you, as a kid, I wasn't allowed to talk to people. I wasn't allowed to really be around people or anything. So they would make it their business for me to stay in the house. But even as an adult, they would do the same thing. If it came to me making money, let's fast forward to as my son passed away. I left Colorado to come to Florida because they felt that I needed the help. I was there by myself because my ex-husband, well, soon to be ex-husband, if he ever signs these fucking papers, made it his business. He wanted to leave August 2019. I still remember this day because I told him he had up until September 9th to move out of my house, but his sister ended up moving out prior to, and I was like, well, damn, for somebody that all of a sudden have money that could never help me. Mind you, I'm facing eviction, couldn't, keep the lights on. I'm paying everything. This man is not coming out of pocket. And any of my money, I had started to notice, like, damn, why is my money going missing? I'll ask this man, like, where's my money at? Where is it going? Where did you put this money at? I ain't did nothing. We married. Come to find out, he's sitting here provided from some girl that he done met, and then he was in one of his boyfriends, and then he had a sugar daddy that helped him get him a car. This is before I figured out that he was in the closet at that time. So all of this stuff is going on. I had started notice him asking about, how much is your insurance policy in the military? So and he started answering these questions, that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, you're doing what I thought you was doing. I kept getting sick, muscle spasms, headache, and I'm talking about it was bad. I'm going to the hospital, and they're like, ma'am, it's all okay. So at this point, I was like, well, I'm going to stop asking questions because I don't want them to feel like I'm a hypochondriac or nothing like that. And then it was like, you probably stressed out, depression. Then it went from stress out, depression to your bipolar. And I'm like, I ain't got none of that shit going on. Like, I'm completely calm, kind, and I'm in my right mind. So why is it that all this shit is going on? Then I started noticing it was people that I didn't meet, didn't talk to. There's diagnosis on my, medical file. I was like, this shit is not right. But of course, me, I got to think about the safety and what I got to do to take care of my kids. But at this point, I was like, I already know I'm still going to be at 100% regardless, because now this is involving not only military personnel, the VA and family and stuff. Y'all are part of the trauma. They knew that they were part of this trauma. So I was like, if I had to take down all these people, I know I got grounds to, but they wanted to make it seem like, oh, she can't prove it. So I had to get strategic with how to do this. Of course, you got to read The Art of War and strategies and stuff like that, because it take a whole team to figure that out. Shit, all it requires me to read a fucking book to figure out what's the tactics and things like that. So he's talking about insurance. My mom talking about insurance. Grandma talking about insurance. Then it was like, my friend, oh, I got this and this and this going on. And mind you, the whole time that she was in college, even while she was married, before her mama passed away, anything she called me, I didn't care if it was like my last bit of fucking dollars or nothing like that. I made sure that Lynn got money for her to go eat at college, get gas to make it to work, or whatever the case may be. She knew if I had it, she got it. But then eventually I was like, okay, maybe I'm hopeful that, when it comes to that time and that she returned it. And she did. And I was like, I didn't trip on it, but I knew something wasn't right when I made it very clear. I was like, look, you might want to back off doing something with my mom. Because when I came to Florida 2020, fast forward before my son passed away, I was paying this woman $1,800 a month while staying with her. $1,800 a month, because I was like, shit, I'm in her house, I got all these kids here, so I wanted to make sure that, hey, she can pay all the bills or whatever, food or whatever. And if my kids, that it's $1,800. It's $1,800. What are you doing with $1,800 that it's not accounted for? I couldn't understand that. I couldn't fathom, like, what are you doing with $1,800? So at that point, she kept complaining, making out, you and your kids need to go and all this other stuff. But then it would be like, hey, I knew that something was weird when she was like, hey, dress the kids up, make sure their hair is combed and stuff like that. And I'm like, for what? Oh, I just wanted to take some pictures of them, just to have some kind of memories type shit. And I was like, that's kind of weird. But I was like, you know what? I do need to do better, keep up with their hair. Because sometimes my kids, they was rough and they rough played and stuff like that. So most of the time I would have to braid it. My autistic daughter, sometimes she likes to wear her fro. She like her natural hair. So, I'll let her rock her fro. You don't need to let her do it. No, if that's what makes her comfortable, my child has the right to speak on what she like and what she don't like. But I would figure out like nice little styles of how she would want to do it. And then it was just like, oh, okay. But once I decided that I wanted to move out of her house, because it was just like, it got too much and I got tired of her complaining about shit all the fucking time, I was like, shit, I might as well get my own spot. So when I decided to, around the time, right before it was time to, like 3-4 months before I decided to do it like March 2020. When I moved the first time, oh, you don't need to stay in this place. You need to get another one. Okay, I'll give me another one, because it required me to climb up and down the stairs. And Marcus required a wheelchair. She didn't understand that requiring the wheelchair, she chose to like, oh, you will move into another one where you can have easy access. So they ended up giving me like a ground floor apartment or something like that. Now, I don't remember 100% about how it came. Like, I think it was time for me to pay bills or something like that. But she was always calling me about some stupid shit. And she was into some like Ponzi shit. And I was telling her like, it's Ponzi. She ended up losing like $2,800 of my money. And I was like, look, you need to figure out how they're going to get my money back. And she's like, oh, it's okay. We're going to get it back. Never got my money back. So I was like, okay, I'm going to chalk that up as a loss, because it was like, it got a point, like, I'm not fit to go back and forth with you, because I knew, like, going back and forth with her, like, we'll butt heads to a point where she'll make me so mad, I would literally want to put my hands on her. And I made myself a promise at 15 that when that did happen, I wouldn't ever do that again. And if I got too upset, it was just like, separate yourself versus trying to go back and forth with her. I did that. I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm going to attempt to go get me another place again, because this is not working, all that other stuff. Get my other place. This is right October 23rd, moving to my other place. The place was immaculate. There was no indication of infestation. The dude that I talked to was just like, okay, he was doing some fuck shit. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to strategize how to get him out. But I'm already trying to figure out all my game plans. I'm in school to do nails. I had a job as well. Once she figured out, well, how much you getting at this job? And then she did something where she seen my bank account of how much money they was giving me for my GI and then going to school. Oh, what you gonna do with all that money? It's my money. Why are you concerned about what I'm gonna do with my money? So she ended up running her mouth to my aunt, and where my aunt worked at the hospital, the lady, she was like, your resume is impressive. You got all the things that we need. I qualify for everything for that job. And she said, I just need you to come in and do an interview, and we could proceed to the next step or whatever the case. This hating ass motherfucker, once she figured out like, oh damn, they gonna pay her, like she ended up telling my mom how much they was gonna pay me. They came out with a plot and plan on how to tell this lady on like to cancel my interview with them. Mind you, I basically already had the job. I just had to do the interview, her ask her questions, and I go do my urine and all the other stuff, my background check. That stuff was already done because she seen that it was ran. She was like, well, how you gonna make it over here? Driving like per usual, like a normal person would do. You drive. She took it upon herself to tell them like, oh no, she can't make it there. She can't afford it. And I'm like, how can I not afford something and I can clearly make it there? She was like, oh, well, you have to do this and you got to go do that. And I'm like, okay, this is $20. This will allow me to be able to afford what I need to do for my kids. And, I'm focused on stability because I wanted to buy a home. Baby, when I say all that situation went left, it went left. I couldn't understand like what it is, but once mind you, at that point I was making more than her, so she felt that I needed to give her my money. And then it was like tax time was coming. Let me claim these kids. I'm like, no, you don't need to claim my kids. Oh, then F you then. You need to figure out what you gonna do, because you over here acting hateful, and just because you over here talking to some new man or something like that, you acting all like this, and you gonna give it all up because you dealing with a man. But mind you, this friend, when he came along, my so-called best friend, she kept talking about this guy at work. But when I kind of like set eyes on him, what she looked like, because I think she either no, he came and did a swab. I remember what he looked like. So I knew that he was some kind of relative to him, because she would talk about his drug problem and all this other stuff. When I figured all this shit out, that's when I connected the dots. I was like, these motherfuckers set me up. But I couldn't figure out how to go ahead and prove it. But something just told me, just start recording all the stuff that's happening and things like that, so you can be able to recruit what it is that they doing. So if you do gotta go to court, you can prove that everybody that was involved in this, how to get rid of them and all this other stuff. So I did so. So at this point, it was just like, I knew I couldn't trust nobody, because I was like, okay, this will require, like, I know sometimes they be hiring people to work at certain facilities and things like that. You could be a nurse, doctor, lawyer, and stuff like that, and they come from the street. But it depending on how you grew up or where you grew up or what, nationality you had, you don't really get groomed unless they know, like, hey, that's the smart one. We're going to put that one through school. And then sometimes, the other ones get neglected, but those be the ones that tend to be real hardcore and want to be out in the street, 304, and you name it. But that's normal when it comes to that kind of behavior. So I understood that type of behavior and what was going on. I was like, okay, how do I go ahead and prove this shit without it making it seem like I'm crazy? But at this point, everybody, like how I'm explaining it, it was like, that makes logical fucking sense. Like, you got a lot of people that do the job, but they don't like their job. Those be the motherfuckers that just like, hey, I'm just doing this so I can get this money. But then 10 times out of 10, when you look at how they utilize the money to get the job, or how they, tend to pair up with other people for the job, you'll realize that these people do not have financial readiness or financial intellect on how to handle that type of money. So 10 times out of 10, oh, I can afford to get this house and this car, but money management is very important for you to figure out, okay, we're going to put this money for savings, we're going to do this for bonds, we're going to put this for this investment, so that money can still be, longevity, just in case some kind of emergency do come up. So I said, just watch how these people, utilize it. But they'll get mad at me because it's like, well, she got 7 kids and she was able to get a new car. Yes, because I was making sure that I worked on my credit, and I made sure that I worked on, how much money I need to save and all this other thing. So I made sure that I did the proper things that I was supposed to make sure that I had money, that when it comes to me, I enjoy spending my money on my kids. They felt that there was a problem. You spoiled them kids and should not be able to do that. And if I'm able to afford that, I'm capable of doing that. And I'll be like, well, every time you go, wow, you taking them here, you going there. Shit, if I can afford to take them, to see where I can do that. If I want to take them every week, every month, if I want to take them to a fun spot, wherever my kids want to go, that is the sole purpose of me making that money, so my kids to do that. And the only goal that I'm looking for is to purchase a home, a forever home. And from there, shit, I got 7 kids, so that 7 properties that I need to figure out to come up with, that 7 cars that I got to make sure that they have when they get of age, and all this stuff. Like, I'm already thinking about that. They wasn't seeing that, and it was like, well, we're going to do everything that we're going to make sure, like, to break her down, break her confidence, because they would get mad, like, shit, I'm going to talk my shit regardless, but you're not going to try to punk me. And they knew that if they had to interact with me physically, that going back and forth with me, that's a lose-lose situation, because it's like, eventually conversation can only go so long until I feel irritated. And then it was like, once you irritate me and you get me to that point, what are we discussing? But it was like, for a while, it took me a while to learn, like, hey, just because somebody's talking, allow them to talk, as long as they're not touching you physically or whatever. They can make all the threats in the world that they want to. As long as they ain't touching you, don't lose your cool. I learned that eventually through therapy. It's like, you look, just understand, as long as they're not physically harming you or anything, and you got a right to say what it is that you need to say, and they got a right to say what it is. Whether you agree or disagree, you just keep it pushing regardless. Shit, and ain't no need to go back and forth and keep arguing with people, especially if you notice that, hey, they're going to try to keep flipping this on you, and it's just you against them. Shit, you got to eventually just let that go. And I was like, oh, that's true, let it go. So why the fuck argue with people? It's pointless, right? So at certain points, I'll just laugh about it, because it's just like, okay, whatever. But then it was like, it'll be like they have parties and things like that, but it'll be parties to try, and I'm gonna say try, because it didn't never work. Yeah, that got a crazy cousin. I'm be like, who are these people? Most of the time it'd be people I did not know or barely know or didn't ever kick it with them, because anybody that they hung out with, they used to like to deal with ghetto shit. Mind you, I was the only one brought up from hood, okay, from the hood, Pine Hills, Crime Hills, all of that, Paramore. That was me. That's what I grew up. It wasn't no, I had a silver spoon. I didn't have no money or like that. Nobody doing that. Section 8, food stamps, that is I. Where, welfare, that was I. So once they figured out, like, oh shit, like, she really get it. Yeah, I get it, and I'm with the shit, so you're not gonna punk me. Once they figured out that they was, like, hey, this one, and once she get close enough, she gonna let you know. So the so-called cousin of mine, she tried it. Oh, you crazy. Like, who are y'all to even say that I'm crazy? Do I know you? And before I got ready to say what I wanted, sweetie, you gotta be nice. It was always I needed to be nice. What the fuck I need to be nice if they sitting here being disrespectful? So at that point, I just knew, I was like, okay, it's going to be everybody against you. And instead of you losing your cool and knocking every single last one of these motherfuckers out, because I knew I was more than capable. And then plus it was like, shit, if I had to get the master too, I'm not going to miss, okay? I'm going to shoot your ass in the one that wink and the one that don't stink. And then some of y'all motherfuckers deserve to get it in your ass. It just works out like that. So I was just like, okay, just leave it alone. These people ain't even worth it. So it's in your best interest just to stay away. Smart thing, right? So when my son passed away, I just knew, like, it was just getting worse and worse. So I was like, okay, stay away. But then at the same time, mind you, while I was married with this man for 7 years, you need to leave him. So finally, when I leave him, leave it alone. I leave the situation alone. Oh, you need to make the marriage work. You need to work with him. That's your husband. He needs to... Wait a minute. But all of a sudden, she claiming for all these years, I don't like him. I don't like his mama. You said the same thing about my first baby daddy, but all of a sudden, you got his mama's number. So it's like she has my first baby daddy, his mama's number. The second one, she got access to him because one of her ex-boyfriends stay in contact with him, so she was able to get in contact with him. My other baby daddy, he locked up in prison, but for some reason, I was like, how the hell this motherfucker living if his mama's like damn near in her 80s, can't see and stuff like that. And I knew she wasn't affording no money because they was abusing her over there in South Carolina. So I was like, okay, how is he getting money to survive in jail and you reaching out to me? So it's like you connected to somebody in the jail cell. So I got common sense on that. And then when it comes to my ex-husband, all of a sudden you buddy with him and his mama. But it was like, I understood. She was like, shit, when his mom would do certain stuff, she would be the one to point it out. Like, yeah, she tricking. If you got to go to Walmart and pick up the funds and transfers and stuff like that, she was the one that made me catch on. I was like, oh shit, she is. But the way his mama would talk to me, my ex-husband's mama would talk to me, I was like, oh yeah, she definitely a hoe. But she would tell you to your face, like, when she was good and nice and off that Jack Daniels and shit, or off her Henny, she'll be quick to go ahead and say, like, yeah, I'm a nasty hoe, I'm a dirty hoe, but I'm gonna get my money though. She will always say that. And I was like, well, goddamn, I believe you. I ain't gonna trip on you, but shit, you gotta get your money how you get it. But I ain't ever judge her. So at that point, I knew for my mom, she was gonna take an opportunity on their ass. And that opportunity came around that time when my son died, because it was like, y'all inviting this same motherfucker that I just told y'all that all this bullshit he did to me, and y'all invited him to my son's overpass. And I was like, oh, y'all all working together. And then all of a sudden, when this was getting ready to happen, it was after I was like, I left the country. I didn't tell nobody where I was going, when I was going. I just said I was moving. That was it. I ain't tell them where I was going. I just said I was going to move it. But I ended up going to Puerto Rico. It was like not even, maybe about 6 months to a year in, that's when some shit started popping off. I was like, that's weird. But then that's when I noticed all of them, her, the sister, family, everybody, they traveling back and forth to all these places. But then something kept telling me, I was like, I know they here in Puerto Rico because our cousins with the Vasquez name, they got connections. His family is from there. Uncle Tony family is from Puerto Rico. And I was like, is it Loquillo? And then our family friend, Yvonne and Rachel, they from Puerto Rico. And something told me, I was like, they got connects and stuff like that. So when all of that shit started coming, I was like, all of this shit is connected. They end up having some kind of connection. But of course, if you got all the same thing in mind to go ahead and take some money, You're going to do this. However, I knew I had money due to me from when I was like 6 years old. Like I said, it was a caregiver named Miss Deborah. And then when I said that was the best care I ever had, outside of my grandma, before she was sober and she got on crack, she used to take really, really good care of me. And it'll get to a point where she'll be like, oh, I'm buying you and the kids Christmas gifts and stuff like that and taking care of your kids, because I was the only grandkid that would call her, and talk to her and stuff like that. But when it came to like moving around and it was like I needed her, she didn't want to come near me, because it was like a point where she came for one Christmas and after that she didn't ever come around again. But anytime that I needed her help, mind you, I'm the one with the most kids and stuff like that, single by myself. But every time I call, oh, I'm in Florida, I'm helping Courtney and Kiara with their kids. Courtney got 2, Kiara got 1. But shit, that don't accumulate to all the fucking abortions that they had. They would have had more kids than me. So I was like, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to let y'all live, and I'm going to let y'all be great for this little bit of moment. But if you keep fucking with me, we gonna air this bitch out. And I made it very fucking clear. If y'all keep fucking with me, I'm going to air this bitch out. Because y'all want to sit here and keep playing innocent, and none of y'all motherfuckers innocent, down to you, Lynn. Ain't none of y'all innocent. Y'all all sleeping with this dirty dick thing, and it's like y'all trying to play in my face. Oh, it's nothing like that. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna let all this shit rock. But what is it about? Some money. But it was like, during particular moments, she'll be like, I remember I came out of surgery, she was like, I'm gonna need you to sign something. I was like, no, I'm not in the mood to sign nothing. And of course, when you under drugs, you don't know if you did or you didn't. And it was like, all of a sudden, you want to be helpful, you want to come help me at my house. I knew something was up when she came. But I remember I was downstairs and I heard them in the kitchen talking. They didn't think that I heard them because she thought I was knocked out. And I remember just waking up out here. It's like, yeah, this is what we got to do. And I need you to play the role and do it. She didn't know that I knew. So I was like, okay, shit, I got to figure out how I'm going to get the fuck out of this situation safely. But at the same time, I knew when it came to him, he was very scary, but he would always, I'm a man, I can do this. But his threat was only to try to use manipulation tactic, was about my kids. And at that time, I had a big fear because how traumatic this experience happened with my baby boy, Marcus. So once I put all those pieces together, I said, these motherfuckers is working together. All of a sudden, yeah, you didn't know I was an Eastern Star? Well, I already knew Bobby, Bobby Lee Rawls is a fucking Mason. He's been a Mason since the fucking 90s. So all those connections, I understood all the connections about how they operate way long ago from a kid, because I used to watch, all the stuff and things that they would get into. And they used to do this shit like, I want to say like 92, between 92 and 96. That's when all this shit started popping when it was for him. And that's when I was like, I gotta clear understand. I was like, oh, this motherfucker's into everything. Drugs, prostitution, trafficking of kids. They would have pictures of kids when they was dressed up and shit like that. They'll sell them pictures off. Like, they'll sell them pictures of the kids for like $500 a pop. And they was like, how the fuck you know that? I was like, ain't nobody stupid. You can sell in the black market. You can flip that fucking shit and you can get money off of it. And people were like, how the fuck you know about that? I was like, shit, I grew up around that shit. You got to understand how you flip the money. And once you flip it, you can understand the shit. And they was like, oh shit, you know about all that. I was like, no shit, Dick Tracy. It doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist. I just choose not to participate in it because shit, I feel you got to save these damn kids. And that's why a lot of people, when it was like cases are coming up, they were like, how you know that's happening? I said, it don't take a fucking rocket scientist. I can just point it out. The dead always speak. Regardless of how it goes, the dead speak. But you need to quit talking. You need to go mind your business. Go find you something to do. So whenever I did find something to do, and they figure out like, oh, you making money off of braiding hair? Or you making money off of doing some nails? Or you make... Anytime that I will make money, and they already know, well, you already got enough money. Why do you feel like you need to do that? Or if I wanted to go back to school, why you feel like you need to go to school? You think you too smart for this? And it's just like, y'all motherfuckers is some like real ass haters. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Because I would prefer to study, going to school, and be at home and take care of the kids and be in the house and tending to them than want to be out the streets and drink and gotta be seen. And oh, I got new red bottoms, so I got what I'm studying for. I'm not trying to stay up with the Josephs you are. Y'all trying to put on the show because you trying to cover up who you really fucking are, and ain't no real personality or life to you. And it's like, really and truly, if motherfuckers knew you for real, y'all ain't shit. And y'all some trifling motherfuckers. That's the truth of the matter. But it was just like, if they did want to help, it's like small. I give you $50. I give $100, but you got to give it back. Why the fuck I'm giving back something that you take voluntarily? You don't ever give me none of my money back, but they always had to make sure that I gave the money back. So I was just like, yeah, this is about a money fucking scam. But y'all doing tax fraud, identity fraud, and it was like some money. I remember it was like 3 times that shorty came into some fucking money, and it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna give you some money so you could be able to get back, stable again. Never seen that money. The court case happened with my son. Mind you, she had just got about a whole bunch of bands then. Because around that time, right afterwards, you was able to buy you a BMW. You was able to buy you a Tahoe. She was able to pay down a certain amount of her home that she had bought. So I was like, where the fuck she getting this money from? But this is like when you move from the Sherwood Villa Tuscany apartments and you move into this house, it's like, where she get some money to do this? Because all of a sudden, you ain't stressed out no more. You can afford this. You can afford that. The same thing with my aunt. It was like, shit, you was just over here living in Ocoee. All of a sudden, you got a house. She had a first house somewhere else in a gated neighborhood off of Ocoee or Apopka. And then she got another house out in Sarasota, which is way bigger than the house she had before. But according to what I'm being told, that house is like almost $500,000, if not close to $1 million. Your husband riding around in a new, 4x4, y'all in BMWs and Lexus and all this other shit. How the fuck y'all affording this shit? And y'all still crying and bugging about, can I get about $2,000? Can I get $1,500? Your daughter crying and calling, asking about $1,800 so she can go get a BBL. Some shit ain't adding up. But then it's like, hey, Sharita, what you... No, don't come Sharita to me, because then at that point, they knew I wasn't giving them shit no more. I'll babysit for you, but I don't really want to be around y'all. And then it was like, when we started hanging out, and I just started talking real bluntly to their ass, they sitting there like, you gonna say that? Bitch, I ain't ashamed and I ain't even embarrassed. Like, y'all sitting here thinking I'm supposed to be ashamed and embarrassed about what the fuck it is y'all asking me truthfully? And they just sitting back like, oh, okay. Then all of a sudden, they quiet. Like, oh shit, we shouldn't have asked no questions like that, because it was like, at some point, eventually, I'm gonna read y'all motherfuckers to fifth, because I don't like none of y'all. So I was like, okay, it'll be times where I get stuck in a bind. Y'all knew I didn't have the money for the funeral, but we can do the wake at my house. At your house? When did I say I wanted to do a Passover at all? When was that discussed? Well, we already cooked and put stuff on the grill. Oh, you did? Oh, okay. When was this conversation? So I was like, that's when I had to rewind over all the time. I was like, whenever they wanted certain shit to go their way and they need to have discussions, and they knew it was going to be like an inconvenience for me or something like that, or they knew like something hard was going on, that's when they'll be like, yeah, we went out to eat, but we knew you weren't ready to go out. We saw that you had the kids, or you were busy, or you were sick, or such and such was sick, or you had Marcus and all this other shit. So that at that point, it was just like, look, I ain't got no business. And I think I went to go see them doing like Thanksgiving. This is how I knew Rachel was a part of it, because she was trying to stay stiff quiet, like she didn't want to say shit. Mind you, Courtney and Kiara, they was there locally, but y'all didn't make it to the funeral. Why all of a sudden y'all couldn't make it to the funeral, but y'all here for Thanksgiving, huh? 2 days later, mind you, I had already called my grandma. I was like, can you be here for the funeral? Not even 24 hours or 2 days later, you over there at my auntie's house. So I was like, these hoes is very fucking messy, and I know it's something way bigger. No sooner than after my son's obituary was posted, I started getting spam emails from like State Farm or like applying for death insurance. I was like, this motherfucker didn't even wait till my son was fully, processed or anything to go ahead and collect insurance money on his end. But also, I remember like my grandma had one, my mama, I was like, why all these motherfuckers got policies on me? But then it was like my aunt, so-called aunt, that's supposed to be from my sperm donor side of the family. The shit she was telling me, I was starting to put the pieces together as a kid, because I was like, a lot of shit didn't make sense to me as a kid when my aunt Denise passed away. And then it was like, why is my Uncle Johnny so hateful, or like he turned on me? I hadn't talked to that man since fucking 2011 when I was in Afghanistan. But after 2011, I noticed like he don't talk to me. He ain't say shit to me. I'm just like, something ain't fucking right. And it was like, it'll come to Pat. He'll sit there and be lying like, oh, I talked to Sharita. Motherfucker, I ain't talked to you in Lord knows how long, but you and Sheila talk every fucking day. And I was like, yeah, at that point, I knew it was a plot and plan, because it was like the shit that you be into and the shit you be into, yeah, something was going on. But I was like, get the fuck far away. But it was like the shit was carrying over to Puerto Rico. But it was like, I had to remember, I was like, ooh, we do have a lot of connects out here in Puerto Rico, but I couldn't remember everybody's name. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave it alone. Mind you, I left with the dude because the dude I was dating, he was Puerto Rican. But as deep as his shit or his play in it, I couldn't figure out how deep his play came into it. So at that point, I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. If this is over money, I'm not going to take myself out. But I was like, I'm not going to, I just understood with all this shit happening. I was like, I'm not going to take myself out. But then I noticed in Puerto Rico, I'm talking to the doctors and stuff, like going to appointments. And when I'm talking to it, the social worker, her name was like Edie's. I was like, this bitch get high every day. Because her lips was just telling it like, bitch, you get high every day. I was like, I knew as soon as she get out of that bitch was going to go get high. And I was like, she would never take off her sweater, because it was like one day her office was hot as fuck. I was like, she low key looked like she was on that, cocaine or putting shit up her arms. But I was like, I can't put my finger on it. But I was like, I knew she smoked weed, but I was like, I'm gonna leave that alone. And then the doctor that came in, it was this blonde-haired old lady, with glasses. And it's like, do you understand me? I was like, ma'am, if you say that one more time, I need you to understand. And when I had to correct her and talk to her in layman's terms, she was like, oh, so you do understand? Yes, bitch. So quit trying to talk to me like I'm motherfucking slow. But I didn't tell her like that, but it was like, I told her more in a tactful way, like, please do not do that. That's kind of disrespectful. And that's when she kind of got offended and she started turning around. Well, you need to make sure that he gets this and this and this. I was like, ma'am, I'm well aware, but just make sure, can you pinpoint me, or how does the system work? So every time that I'm asking them, how does the system work, so I can make sure I took the proper steps, it got to a point where I'm having to ask every place that I go. And most of the time, I would end up getting more help from people off the street. They'd be like, oh, that's your child? Like, yeah, that's my child. They was like, did you know you could... I'm learning from people off the street. These are strangers. These people are not involved or tied into these people. They'd be like, the nice, cool people, they'd be telling me and putting me on. I'd be like, okay, let me take notes from what they saying and how these motherfuckers behaving. So the social worker, Lysandra, I allowed her one time, I gave her permission to go ahead and talk to her. I said, this ain't no continuation, but I say, like, if I needed her, I'll allow her to talk to them. But I was like, my condition is not part of the discussion. They found a way that she was like, she hit me up one day, and that's how I knew. I was like, yeah, you play a part in this. And she's like, every time I'll talk to her, I'm trying to tell her what's going on. It comes with the condition. I was like, that's gaslighting. You understand that? So when I started to call her ass out on it, it was like, oh, okay, well, I got to go. We can end the session. I said, I bet we can. So I was just like, all right, because you're not no fucking therapist. I'm supposed to be talking to a psychologist. Come to see the psychologist. She can only see me once a month. It comes to the psychiatrist. Oh, is everything okay? Is the medicine working? That's the only thing she wanted. The appointment be for like 3 to 5 minutes. And then when I was asking her questions about certain things, oh, okay, it was rushed off the phone. So even if y'all went through the medical records or the records of her calling me via the VA, you'll see that those conversations will last anywhere from 3 to 15 minutes when it's actually supposed to be 30 minutes to an hour. Not at all. No particular questions. Even if I give the authority to somebody to sign off to see the videos, because y'all can still see that, it was just like, I knew. I was like, y'all know this shit is not for the playing out too well. So it's like, either y'all choosing to be stupid yourself, or you choose to feel like I'm the fucking stupid one. And I know I'm not the stupid one in here, because it's like, military teach you very well, paper trail, read the regulations, do your research. I did all 3 above and make sure that I do my proper research. And they was just like, oh, so you know about that? No shit, Dick Tracy. You think I'm just going to take, just because you feel like you got this diagnosis, I'm going to give you this pill? Like, nah, I'm not your motherfucking guinea pig. You can use the rest of these dumb motherfuckers as guinea pigs. Reason being why they so fucked up and don't want to talk. And then when it's time for y'all to put me in therapy and I'm sitting here talking, these are grown ass men and you crying like a little bitch because I'm telling you, motherfucker, you got mama and daddy wounds. Go heal that shit. You know my relationship. Bitch, go heal your daddy wound. And they was like, you can't be in part of our groups. You made a person cry. Bitch, if you don't get your emotional ass off my motherfucking phone, either are we helping or are we sitting here coddling motherfuckers? And I think he was like a Marine, like, am I supposed to coddle him? The fuck? So it was just like, okay, well, you can't participate. I don't mind, because I really don't want to participate in fucking groups. It's really annoying. And, she was really a fucking annoyance to me. So it got to a point where like I said, Dr. Porter Carrero and Dr. Castro, all of a sudden now they don't work at the VA no more. Okay, why y'all ain't working there? So I was like, that's a little awkward or funny. And most of the time, you'll get some kind of notification that this program is not, and now the program is the MICM program no longer exists. I'm like, why doesn't that program exist? That's when I was like, aha, that was a part of a research program. So once I was like, all right, all these pieces come together, but I was like, there has to be big money involved in this. And the only time people really move around with this has to be millions or billions of dollars involved in this, where people can get that pay cut. So like, shit, if I'm gonna tell you like, shit, I can give you $500,000 at as many people that is involved in this, there's up to at least 30 to 50 people, major people that's involved in this, that's getting money out of this. So this gives me at least, this has to be a good $6 billion. If it's not $6 billion, more or less it's close to the billions right now. Because if this money, I knew some money was sitting for me, because when I was with Miss Deborah, she was like, I went with her to like a bank or something like that as a kid, and she was like, baby, if I don't tell you anything else, I'm gonna open this up for you, because as a kid, you don't really understand. Kids only gonna remember what you're trying to tell them, and for their safety, you want, especially when they are not around their mamas or family that they're used to, you're gonna tell that kid anything to make sure that they feel safe. And in this instant, it was like for her to make me feel safe, but I always felt safe with her. Every time, I was with her. Every time she went to work, anywhere Miss Deborah went, I was with Miss Deborah. Okay. It wasn't no time where I didn't get bathed, getting changed. She dressed me up. My hair was combed. And it'd be like, it get to a point, Miss Deborah, where are we going today? I got to go to the bank. And she ran a daycare. It used to be called Deb's Daycare out in Lawton. We was either in Lawton or Oklahoma City. We was somewhere. But wherever I was with Miss Deb took me everywhere. And we was in this van. And when we was in this van, we'll go here, we'll go there. And she'll make sure I remember her telling me, I'm going to open up this account for you. And she opened up some kind of account. We was at the bank. And I remember the bank telling me, you are such a lucky kid for somebody to love you so much to do this for you. And I was like, huh? And he was like, you might remember eventually. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just remember going about my business. But this shit had to happen around the time I was between 5 or 6 years old. And at particular times, it was supposed to be like Uncle Anthony, which was my Aunt Rita used to run her mouth so much. Whenever she got drunk or high, I was like, just start listening to her ass. My Aunt Michelle, she didn't ever really want to talk to me, because I think I told her something about herself, like her spirit wasn't right. And I knew she was fucking messy, because it was always her and Patrick working together against my Aunt Denise. Aunt Denise is very fucking beautiful, lovely kids and everything. Johnny was only concerned about who can I make my next sport person. Like, nigga, just because you didn't get to live out your dream, you fucked up your leg because you wanted to do stupid shit and you knew you didn't need to pull that play, you fucked yourself up. The fuck you want me to get mad? And you only with this girl because you thought she came with money, and everybody always said, like, these is not the chicks that you date. He like light-skinned chicks. She's dark-skinned, and it was like she was cute, but I knew as well, like, that ain't even your type. And Angie was she didn't do it for free though, but you know what I'm saying, his baby mom. And I was just like, all this shit just ain't making sense. But once I started making sense of all this shit and I was like, hopefully the right people do their investigation, because it was like, you get smart enough to understand, like, when they used to talk about it, because mind you, they was in the streets, Bloods, they was Crips, they was Disciples, and I was like, how y'all all relatives and y'all all part of different gangs and cliques? They was like, that's just what we resonate, but at the end of the day, we still family, but if it's about business, we're gonna handle business. So basically, it was letting me know, shit, if I gotta take out my own relative because of business, that's just what it was. So at that point, I just knew, I was like, shit, you just gotta be a cold motherfucker just to actually survive around these motherfuckers. I knew that as a kid, so it was just like, at that point I knew I wasn't gonna make it, because it was like, this ain't right. So I knew my cousin Anthony, he knew what was up, but he didn't want to have to tell me what's up. So in the best way possible, I remember his thing, he had to keep me, like, be the babysitter in the house, and him and his brother would be in the den and stuff like that. And I just remember they came fuck with us. I was like, why is that? But I remember before anything went down, he was like, shit, you gotta toughen you up one way or another. And he was like, shit, you gotta figure out how to keep yourself safe. It wasn't no jump in or nothing, but he was basically trying to test us like, shit, can you take a hit, whatever the case may be. And I'm talking about they throwing hands. It wasn't no soft hands. And they, they thugs. They for the streets like that. Baby, I'm talking about hits, punches, getting choked out, all that shit. But then it got to a point where it's like, oh shit, she gonna defend herself. And it got to a point where, yeah, you gotta chill. And even Shannon was like, oh shit, she alright, she'll be safe, she'll be able to handle herself in the streets. So it's like a lot of people, they had respect because they knew like, oh shit, that one is a scrapper, she gonna handle herself. Even when it came time for my cousin Freeman, God rest his soul, it came to his daddy, Tony, again. And even Tony was like, shit, it was a fight that broke out when we was at a Pedersen Center. It was the same thing. It was some boys, and it was just like, shit, I had to fight boys. He didn't care. He was like, you gonna learn to defend yourself. That was the same method that I had. You ain't no punk. We ain't raising no punks. That was they saying all the time. So I understood if I ain't beat their ass, I was gonna go home and get my ass beat. And I didn't like how I was getting beat. Switches, yardsticks, brooms, anything that they can do. Because then by the time I was 8 years old, I stopped crying. So they knew like, either if they couldn't beat me as hard as they could, it would literally lead to them putting hands on me. And it was just like, because it was like they wanted me to cry and I wouldn't cry. So it was just like, all right. It was just like I understood like how all this shit was going to play out. And I was like, shit, eventually these motherfuckers going to try to put a tag on my life. And I would get scared at some point, like, if I make too much money, this was going to happen. And then it just got to a point where somebody was telling me, well, shit, you can still make your money. Just don't tell them how much money you get. And I was like, but shit, how do I do that if they always in my business, always trying to be in my shit? And then it was like, you hiding stuff. Then it turned to when I didn't want to talk about what the fuck I got going on. You lying, you hiding. It's about some nigga. And I was just like, bro, it got so fucking tiring. To a point during the marriage, when he had been cheating from the fucking beginning, had kids from the beginning and everything. And the shit he started talking, because he felt like he was tough. Until that one day, Christmas 2018, I want to say it was December 23rd, because he had to call his mama. He was trying to call everybody. And when I got ready to punch through that motherfucking bathroom door, that motherfucker piped down real quick. We can fix this. This motherfucker went through a whole box of cigarettes because I was about to put his ass out December 23rd, 2018. Y'all know it's Christmas and stuff like that. Anytime his mama came, she would try to make it seem like she was spending money. No, bitch, I'm using my credit card to fly your ass out here. So anytime she came to visit us in Colorado, I was paying for that bitch to be there. She ain't come out of pocket for none of her motherfucking tickets. I did. So I was just like, yeah, y'all motherfuckers is plotting. And I was just like, okay, well, I need to keep these motherfuckers close enough to figure out what's their next route. And once I figure it out, I just didn't I'm like kind of numb to the shit, but it's just like, shit, at this point, just record the shit. Like, what the fuck you gonna do? Because I was like, at this point, when you got proof and they know that it's proof, they got to back off of you. Because if anything happened to you and you post it on the internet, since now we're in the era of the internet, hey, all that shit you used to get away with before like 2006 and shit, because coding was still coming into play. Before 2006, a lot of motherfuckers could get away with this shit. Now that we're in the era of the internet going full blown shit, ain't none of that shit is hidden. You can probably tweak it, but that will require you to have like some real technical use. But then you can't tweak a lot of shit. And I understand. I was like, none of my shit. If y'all want to keep reporting my shit on TikTok, you're talking about it's low quality. No, it ain't low quality. It's factual. And even if it's low quality, it's factual because it's not manipulated and it's not artificial intelligence using that to put that up there. So at that point, I was just like, shit, fair is fair. Y'all know it. Shit, if I got full blown pictures of your face, because what they say, no face, no case. Back in the day, you can get no of that. But now I got pictures of your face, your license plate. There's forms and fashions to go ahead and catch every fucking body involved in this shit. I had asked nicely, like, I don't give a fuck about dumb shit that y'all doing. Do it to other motherfuckers that, that don't care. Leave the motherfuckers that do care and mind their business and actually doing the right thing. Leave them the fuck alone. But you chose the right motherfucker on the right day. I'm ready to fucking play. But then it's like, shit, can we get them to react? The response, no. Old Sharita would have just been and smacked your ass and fucked you up on sight. This one, nah. Let's go ahead and play your game. But I understand that I will play it way better than you. You're neurotypical, so you're going to do typical shit that's easily to calculate and predict versus, oh, she's unpredictable. No shit, Dick Tracy. You remember, I'm a liar. You don't know I'm sneaky or all this dumb shit. So it works to my benefit. If you're going to keep saying this stupid shit, might as well utilize it. And that's what the fuck I did. So now you mad as shit because it's like, even when, these people was like, well, we're using rental cars. Dick Tracy, all it takes is for somebody to figure out where that rental car is from. Every fleet got a serial number that connects to all this stuff. And it's like, how the fuck you know this stuff? It don't take a rocket scientist, stupid fuck. Well, for some motherfuckers it do. They might have had IEPs, and when they was in school, their mama might have knocked their ass upside their head a few too many times. But on the other hand, you fucking with somebody that had to deal with the dark end before dealing with the light. Okay? So, all to say is, all this fight is about fucking money. And instead of them giving me back my money, regardless of how much it is, had y'all did the right thing in the first fucking place, I would have broke bread. But considering that you didn't do that shit, now you giving me grounds and grace to show you no mercy. Or we want to settle this case. Ain't no fucking settling this case. Let's take it to trial, baby. Was it fair to me? But the only thing that you can get lucky to do, be able to do that, or to see if I want to sign that non-disclosure, you should have sent that money months ago. And instead of like, well, she know we got the money, we're not going to give it to her. Oh, okay. Keep prolonging it. Because when it's my time and that right judge come into place, the rightful one that is of the most high, and not into that dumb shit, occultic shit, and want to do brujeria. I told you, this is not 2006 no more. Now everything can come out. And now that it's coming out, it's like, oh shit, yeah. You should have gave me, I asked you nicely. Now it's like, now y'all forgetting what you learned in fucking elementary school when they were trying to teach you manners and courtesy, agree to disagree, or we gonna take this money and not give her back to it. Now, okay, free game. It's free fucking game at this point. You should have gave me back my money. I would have left y'all the fucking alone and not whistleblow about your sins and secrets if y'all left me alone. So now it's like family members. So it makes it very fucking clear. I do not give a fuck who it is. You use my 16-year-old daughter because she looks like me. Hey, we need you to sign this. Of course, she's 16. They want money. They want a car. They want to be flashy in front of their friends. That's what basic teenagers fucking do. But most of the time, they just want to look cool, or they want to do things that make them feel good. And it requires money. She's not going to know that because guess what? Y'all been playing mind manipulation with her for all these years, making her feel like she's not loved, or I didn't love her and all this dumb shit. Of course, you think I don't see in my own kid? If she can sit there and keep trying to tell me fucking lies, and eventually, like, my child, I understand my child, she'll lie for a long ass fucking time. But when the guilt start eating her up, that's when mommy, I got something to tell you. Okay, tell me. You didn't care? You already knew, mom? No shit. You're my child. You came from my womb. You look like me, but you behave like your daddy. So I know how your daddy behaved. I know the mentality. You're going to have the same thing. It might be a little bit different. You might be a little bit charismatic, or, a little bit manipulative. And she learned to pick up the manipulation from my own mama because she used to teach them. And once it came to that point, I was like, it makes complete sense. Like, why am I going to be mad at my child? She fucked up. I mean, hey, it ain't shit that I could do because it's not, save. No. You got to deal with the consequence. That's what a parent's going to do. That's the consequence. I'm not going to sit there, show her my child. I will show my child mercy before I show grown-ass people. Y'all grown-ass people. Her frontal cortex is not fully developed. So eventually, while she got to sit down and whatever it is that y'all got to put her in, hopefully while she's developing, she sit there and learn to get the conscience to understand, like, hey, this wasn't right, all this other stuff. Hey, she'll get it right. And when it's time and she's ready to, because hey, she might be angry for a little while, and I'm completely okay with that. But when it's time for her to come, actually want to come, I'm gonna always be there. I'm a phone call away. Shit, I might even be reaching out to her. But shit, if she gotta be locked away, it's not too much that I'm able to do in that situation. I would literally have to wait on that phone call from wherever it is that they put her up to. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I got a clear understanding of them. People like, that's cold-hearted, cold-blooded. I couldn't do it. You couldn't do it because it's not meant for you to do that. So it's like, once you learn the situation, I had to go ahead and understand, like, or, you know, have to combat that and sit with that. I had to learn to sit with that. I had to learn to sit with the fact that all these people came into play to sacrifice a child all over some fucking money. That's pretty sad. And then they felt that they could get even more. If we got the whole family out of this, shit, we could get way more out of this. So what people, places, and locations was involved in this, they were showing themselves quicker than what I could even get to figure out who was who, because they were showing themselves way quicker than I could be like, let me do my research too. No, they was coming to me. God made it clear that I'm going to let it come to you, baby. You ain't got to worry about it. So that's how you put the pieces together. It ain't fucking rocket scientists. The only thing that I had asked very nice is just send me my fucking money. Y'all sitting here stalking. It ain't like y'all don't know what it is. Y'all doctors, y'all lawyers, y'all teachers and shit like that. Y'all part of these fucking PHA Masons and shit like that. And y'all know where it is. Y'all know where to look at me. Y'all know how to use the Google fucking aspect and hack these people and private investigator. Y'all know where the fuck I'm at. Oh, we don't know nothing about. Yeah, the fuck you do. Because I know what certain banks will do, and I know what they won't do. They're going to call on secure line, not on personal lines. And when they calling and things like that, they don't call you like that. You're going to listen to an automated machine before you even talk to somebody. Why am I talking directly to you before I get through the automated machine? So that's how I know that y'all messing with the banks as well. But one of the ladies from Tennessee, they killed Condra Smiley. She didn't die. Y'all do that report over there back there in Clarksville, Tennessee on Condra. And I guarantee everybody that y'all was sitting there rocking with her and trying to help Regina with this shit, y'all finna be mad as shit. It's gonna start some family wars, because it's like, we've been friends for over about 40, 50 years, have you? But you went on ahead and try to, y'all off, and it ain't try, y'all off this lady. That wasn't her time to go. Y'all was all in pride and ego lying to that lady, and that was the reason why she was able to move that money, how she was able to move it out there in the banking system. So whatever bank or tree she worked for out there in Clarksville, Tennessee, I guarantee them records that y'all got, that y'all try to give to what was the name of the Minks? Yeah, the Mink brothers that you was hunching on, Regina. Like, yeah, like, let's make it make sense. My mama had a few law officials in her pocket. She done had coroners in her pocket, like military, and I'm talking about high ranking, because shit, anybody knows if you gonna fuck up, you know, fuck up on rank. Shit, as a specialist, I had a clear understanding. You fuck on the motherfuckers who got something to lose. So most of the times, them small soldiers who were smart enough, you know, if you was fucking around with the, you know, people in your rank or E5s or E6, baby, you wasn't doing shit. Most of the time, if you was smart enough in the fucking military shit, I'm a fuck on me a E7, a first sergeant major, one of them colonels or some shit like that. You was gonna fuck with somebody that got rank. So anybody that knew that shit when you was flipping the soldier shit, I knew that it was still the same game inside the military. It was no fucking different. So when people started feeling like, oh, okay, y'all made sure I didn't get ranked. Like, I came in as an E3. Y'all knew I was supposed to be promoted within 6 months after I got in, long as I did everything I was supposed to, and I did. And I got, you know, when it was time to take the classes and stuff like that, I was in there with the damn Asian kids. So at that point, I knew I was motherfucking smart. I'm in here with the Koreans and the Chinese and Japanese kids. Shit, I knew I was doing some shit. But it was just like, all of that stuff started to add up. I was like, look, just run me my motherfucking money. I don't care how much it is. Y'all go do what it is that y'all fucking gotta do. But y'all fucking with me and my kids. And then it's like, she snitching, she telling of it. I couldn't tell shit if you just left me the fuck alone and gave me what I was due to me. And instead of trying to off me and kill me and be like, yo, she's more beneficial to us than trying to work against her. Shit, y'all did all this shit for a chump change? When there's way more than that, than what it is that y'all trying to fight for? Come on now. Come on now. That's poor behavior. That's crabbing the fucking barrels. And half of y'all motherfuckers already, shit, if y'all not making about $5 million already a year, you already worth millions. But I'm a motherfucker that's barely making, what, $60K a year? Barely? Come on now. Come on. Let's make it make sense. But instead of like, hey, we see this, like, she out here with a special needs child with her kids. We got her separate from, like, y'all did all this shit for what? That's pain and suffering, ain't it? Shit, y'all owe me vehicles, ain't it? Y'all owe me a home, ain't it? Y'all owe me a lifetime of fucking medical service, ain't it? Shit, basically, y'all should be giving me any and everything that I fucking asked for, if not more. And that's just me being nice. But we're going to leave it at that. Only thing I had asked for, just run me my money so I can go on with my life, because shit, I really like spirituality how I wanted to do it. God just kept directing me to the corruption and the dumb shit that y'all was doing, because y'all was doing it towards me, and he was telling y'all and giving y'all warning signs every time. Aren't you tired of having dreams about me? Aren't you tired of feeling like, oh shit, did they see me? Aren't you tired of that shit? And you well aware that I'm seeing you? Or who y'all hiring to do that? You think these y'all out here got these little fucking projects, little bald-headed fucking scallywags, always want to buy these fucking broke down fucking lace fronts, with always want to do these fucking wing flyaway fucking eyelashes and shit. You got these big humpback, muscle back ass bitches wanting to stalk and hawk and figure out what it is. Then you got your fucking Masons that you done had in the fucking crew for over 30 years because they still got old school mentality and don't know how to have fucking tactic. And then the new ones that you recruiting in, they fucking goofy as fuck. They ain't got no goddamn common sense. So come on, let's make sense. Shit, you losing more dollars and gaining only cents. But it's like, oh, we're gonna mess with it. Ooh, I want that one. No, you should have went after the dumb one. And the dumb ones is the ones, oh, we're gonna they getting up with these groups and shit, and the other dumb motherfuckers stalking them. So all the stuff that you need to do now, you, oh shit, I gotta build a case on this shit now, and not no shit. But instead of having to do all the extra work versus leaving me the fuck alone, giving me what it is that I need to do so I can move on and mind my business, because shit, I was looking to do work in a whole different way. But considering I gotta stand up and do all this stuff, it's like, okay, I'm still in a sense, I'm being nice. And on a bigger part of it, y'all know I'm innocent. I ain't doing no dumb shit. And you out here being a 304? No. You been a Did I attempt, did I want to open up an OnlyFans? I sure did want to. Did I want to open up a mini vids or a porn house? Shit, I know I could. Shit, I'm great at it. But it's like, for what? Why would I want to disgrace my kids for that? So the moment that I got ready to do it, automatically I deleted that shit, because I was like, you know what? How would that look on my kids? How would that make my kids feel? Like, I thought about all that shit, because they got to go to school amongst these kids. And kids are very cruel at particular times when they not raised fucking right. And I'm not going to put my kids through that. So thank God that I have enough common sense to understand, like, hey, sis, you're not able to do that. So leave it at that. And y'all didn't have a clear understanding that shit ain't got to go down like that. And y'all feel that that kind of shit is okay, that it's cool, and you should do that. No, I'm asking nicely. Just give me all of it. Every single last of it. Because if we got to go and y'all want to settle, I want to go to trial. But if y'all do the right thing now, shit, we could probably, let's speak about it. I need real stability, and I don't want y'all fucking with me no more, because if I got to talk about it one more time, it's going to be 10 times worse than it was now. But y'all wanted to make it worse for me. Eviction, losing cars, false allegations, stealing money, on top of making this identity, HIPAA, all of this stuff. To make it seem like I'm lying? Come on now. Oh, you were pregnant, but we weren't going to tell you that, because if we had to tell you that, that requires that we had to know shit, Dick Tracy. You think I didn't know that? You think I don't know what a fetus look like when it comes out in the fucking toilet? But I was a liar, though. But y'all got the proof, though. But y'all not going to go, well, the proof is going to be presented either way it fucking go. So now that's even more money. So don't that require somebody's medical license being revoked? If not a whole group of people. So now, oh, you brought shame on. I don't give a fuck about nobody now, because y'all wanted to fuck with me and my kids. Come on now. All I asked for you is to run me my hands. But that's the end of that.